ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाशातादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We welcome everyone for today morning reading from Bhagavad Gita. We are on the 10th chapter, verse number 2. Name vidu surgana prabhavam namaharshi aham adhi devanam maharshina cha sarvashaha. So we are on the 10th chapter, the opulences of the Absolute. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Mam evashasi yuktevam atmana matparayana. To become a surrendered soul unto the Lord, we need to be established in the aspect of His glories. So hearing more about the glories of the Absolute Truth would allow our mind to become focused or absorbed on Him. Therefore, with that as an intention, Lord Shri Krishna began to speak the 10th chapter, where he says in the first verse, Shranume Paramam Vacha, hear from me, Paramam Vacha, about my supreme opulences. Now in text number 2, what we just read, Krishna says, Name Vidu, Vidu means to know, Suragana means Devatas, Prabhavam na Maharshihi, not even the best of the sages. Prabhavam means origin. Neither the Devatas nor the sages. Aham Adir Hidevanam. They do not know my origin. Aham, I, Adi. Adi means the origin. Hidevanam, even of the Devatas. Mahishinam, and of the sages. Cha Sarvasha, in all respects. I am the source of Devatas and sages. Even they do not know about my origin. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Lord, no one is greater than Him. He is the cause of all causes. Here it is also stated by the Lord personally, there is a cause of the demigods and sages. Even the demigods and great sages cannot understand Krishna. They can understand neither His name nor His personality. So what is the position of so-called scholars of this tiny planet? No one can understand why the Supreme God comes to earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Scholarship is not the qualification to understand Krishna. Even the demigods, sages have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation, and they have failed to do so. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also it is clearly stated or said that even the great demigods are not able to understand the Lord. They can speculate to the limits of their imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism, of something not manifested by the three qualities of material nature. Or they can imagine something by mental speculation, but it's not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know absolute truth, here I am present as the Supreme Personality of God, and I am the Supreme. One should know this. Although one cannot understand the Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying His words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God as some ruling power or as the impersonal Brahman can be reached by persons who are in the inferior energy of the Lord. But the personality of God cannot be conceived unless one is in the transcendental position. Because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causes must he descends to show favor to such speculators. Yet, despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, the speculators, due to contamination in the material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is the Supreme. Only the devotees of fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord can understand by the grace of the Lord that He is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord don't bother by the impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord. And out of the cosmos mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand Him, so even great sages agree. What is Atma? What is the Supreme? It is He whom we have to worship. So, text number 3, okay. So, nobody can know Krishna, even not the great sages or devatas. What would be the result if we know Krishna? Yo mamajam manadim cha veti loka maha ishwaram asammudha cha martyeshu sarva papa pramuchyate. So, veti loka maheshwaram, to know me as the loka maheshwaram, what will happen to such a person? Sarva papehe pramuchyate, he will be delivered from all the sinful reactions. Translation: He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only undiluted among men is freed from all the sins. Okay, big purports now. So somebody would like to read the purports here? We can have, you can raise your hand. All right, Krishna Chandra Prabhu, let's begin with you. Speaker. Oh, unmute. Sorry, yeah, you can unmute now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Audible, good.
As stated in the 7th chapter, 7.3, Manusya sam sahasresu kaschit yati siddhyayi. Those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. In that stage only, when one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be free completely from all sinful reactions. Here, the Lord is described by the word Aja, meaning unborn, but he is distinct from the living entities who are described in the 2nd chapter as Aja. The Lord is different from living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to the material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the 4th chapter, it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the superior energy. In this verse, the verse Veti Loka Maheshwaram indicate that one should know that Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of the universe. He was existing before the creation, and he is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world, but as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. And because he is the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets. Sri Krishna is therefore different from everything that is created, and anyone who knows him as such immediately becomes liberated from all sinful reactions. One must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Only by devotional service can he be known, and not by any other means as stated in Bhagavad Gita. One should not try to understand Krishna as a human being. As stated previously, only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. This is again expressed here in a different way. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. If Krishna is known as the son of Devaki, then how can he be unborn? That is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. When he appeared before Devaki and Vasudev, he was not born as an ordinary child. He appeared in his original form, and then he transformed himself into an ordinary child. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Everything is inauspicious because the very material nature is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on activities in Krishna consciousness in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is a representative of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master, saintly persons, and scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All action done under such direction are free from the reactions of pious or impious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation, and this is called sannyasi. As stated in the first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who acts as a matter of duty because he has been ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord, and who does not seek shelter in the fruits of his activities, anashrita karma phalam, is a true renouncer. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually a sannyasi and a yogi, and not the man who has simply taken the dress of the sannyasi or a pseudo-yogi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text number 4 and 5. Before we go to 4 and 5, the lesson, the purpose of the verse number 2 and 3 is to tell us that we cannot understand Krishna based on any material qualification, even if we are as great as the Devatas or qualified or even pure for that reason as the sages. We can only understand Krishna by his causeless mercy. That's the meaning of verse number 2 and verse number 3. Let's come to text number 4 and 5. Buddha jnanam asammoha shama satyam dhamma shamaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam chabhyam evacha ahimsa samata tushti tapadanam yasho yashaha vanti bhava bhutana mata eva pratak vidaha. All right. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt, delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness, distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. All right. This should be a big puppet also. Big puppet. Okay, Mother Induradhika, go ahead. You want to read it? Unmute. It's a big purpose. It's going to be loud enough so we all can hear. Yes.
Hare Krishna. The different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. Intelligence refers to the power to...
So, just one thing. Each para is going to speak about each of the quality. So, you can mark it so that, otherwise if we're just going to read it, we might just lose track of it. So now, intelligence. So, Mother, when you read now, you will see Prabhupada begins the paragraph with the quality. So you can just say, okay, intelligence refers. So we recollect it is about intelligence. And Prabhupada gives a profound definitions. Now, let's hear.
Intelligence refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective, and knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Ordinary knowledge obtained by a university education pertains only to matter, and it is not accepted here as knowledge. Knowledge means knowing the distinction between spirit and matter. In modern education, there is no knowledge about spirit. They are simply taking care of material elements and bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. Asammoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant and when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely, he becomes free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. Kshama, tolerance and forgiveness should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. Satyam, truthfulness means the fact that facts should be presented as they are for the benefit of others. Facts should not be misrepresented. According to social conventions, it is said that one can speak the truth only when it is palatable to others. But that is not truthfulness. The truth should be spoken in a straightforward way so that others will understand actually what the facts are. If a man is a thief and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. Although sometimes truth is unpalatable, one should not refrain from speaking it. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is the definition of truth. Control of the senses means that senses should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. There is no prohibition against meeting the proper needs of the senses, but unnecessary sense enjoyment is detrimental for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the senses should be restrained from unnecessary use. Similarly, one should restrain the mind from unnecessary thoughts. That is called kshama. One should not spend one's time pondering over earning money. That is a misuse of the thinking power. The mind should be used to understand the prime necessity of human beings, and that should be presented authoritatively. The power of thought should be developed in association with persons who are authorities in the scriptures, saintly persons and spiritual masters, and those whose thinking is highly developed. Sukham, pleasure or happiness, should always be in that which is favorable for the cultivation of the spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And similarly, that which is painful or which causes distress is that which is unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for the development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything unfavorable should be rejected. Bhava, birth, should be understood to refer to the body. As far as the soul is concerned, there is neither birth nor death. That we have discussed in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Birth and death apply to one's embodiment in the material world. Fear is due to worrying about the future. A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear because by his activities he is sure to go back to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, his future is very bright. Others, however, do not know what their future holds. They have no knowledge of what the next life holds. So, they are therefore in constant anxiety. If we want to get free from anxiety, then the best course is to understand Krishna and be all situated always in Krishna consciousness. In that way, we will be free from all fear. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.37, it is stated that Bhayam Dvitiya Abhinna Veshata Asyat. Fear is caused by our absorption in the illusory energy. But those who are free from the illusory energy, those who are confident that they are not the material body, that they are the spiritual parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who are therefore engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Godhead, have nothing to fear. Their future is very bright. This fear is a condition of persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. Abhayam, fearlessness, is possible only for one in Krishna consciousness. Ahimsa, non-violence, means that one should not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. Material activities that are promised by so many politicians, sociologists, philanthropists, etc., do not produce very good results because the politicians and philanthropists have no transcendental vision. They do not know what is actually beneficial for human society. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of the human body can be achieved. The human body is meant for spiritual realization. So any movement or any commissions which do not further that and commit violence to the human body, on the human body. That which furthers the future spiritual happiness of the people in general is called non-violence. Samatha, equanimity, refers to freedom from attachment and aversion. To be very much attached or to be very much detached is not the best. This material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. That which is favorable for prosecuting Krishna consciousness should be accepted. That which is unfavorable should be rejected. That is called samatha, equanimity. A person in Krishna consciousness has nothing to reject and nothing to accept, save in terms of its usefulness in the prosecution of Krishna consciousness. Tushti, satisfaction, means one should not be eager to gather more and more material goods by unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with whatever is obtained by the grace of the Supreme Lord. That is called satisfaction. Tapas means austerity for penance. There are many rules and regulations in the Vedas which apply here, like rising early in the morning and taking a bath. Sometimes it is very troublesome to rise early in the morning, but whatever voluntary trouble one may suffer in this way is called penance. Similarly, there are prescriptions for fasting on certain days of the month. One may not be inclined to practice such fasting, but because of his determination to make advancement in the science of Krishna consciousness, he should accept such bodily troubles when they are recommended. However, one should not fast unnecessarily against Vedic injunctions. One should not fast for some political purpose. That is described in Bhagavad Gita as fasting in ignorance, and anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in the mode of goodness does advance one. However, and fasting done in terms of the Vedic injunctions enriches one in spiritual knowledge. And as far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings in some good cause. And what is a good cause? It is that which is conducted in terms of Krishna consciousness. That is not only a good cause, but the best cause. Because Krishna is good, his cause is also good. Thus, charity should be given to a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. According to the Vedic literature, it is enjoined that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. This practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of Vedic injunction. But still the injunction is that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. Why? Because they are engaged in higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmana is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahman. Brahma Jnanati Brahmanaha. One who knows Brahman is called a Brahmana. Thus, charity is offered to the Brahmanas because they are always engaged in higher spiritual service and have no time to earn their livelihood. In the Vedic literature, charity is also to be awarded to one in the renounced order of life, the sannyasi. The sannyasis beg from door to door, not for money, but for missionary purposes. The system is that they go from door to door to awaken the householders from the slumber of ignorance, because the householders are engaged in family affairs and have forgotten their actual purpose in life, awakening their Krishna consciousness. It is the business of sannyasis to go as beggars to the householders and encourage them to be Krishna conscious. As it is said in the Vedas, one should awake and achieve what is due him in this human form of life. This knowledge and method is distributed by the sannyasis. Hence, charity is to be given to the renouncer of life, to the Brahmanas, and similar good causes, not any whimsical cause. Yashas, fame should be according to Lord Chaitanya, who said that a man is famous when he is known as a great devotee. That is real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is truly famous. One who does not have such fame is infamous. All these qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in the society of the demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities as arranged by the Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find, good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in this material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And now Lord Shri Krishna gives a genealogical synopsis of the universe in text number 6. In the verse number 4 and 5, he spoke about how all these qualities are created from me. Now text number 6. Mahashaya saptapurve chatvaro manavastata madbhava manasa jata isha loka ima prajaha. The 7 great sages, and before them, the 4 other great sages and the Manus come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Mother Anjana, please read the purport, text number 6. Unmute yourself.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
The Lord is giving a genealogical synopsis of the universal population. Brahma is the original creature born out of the energy of the Supreme Lord, who is known as Hiranyagarbha. And from Brahma, all the 7 great sages, and before them, 4 other great sages named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Saran Kumara, and the 14 Manus are manifested. All these 25 great sages are known as patriarchs of the living entities,
Patriarchs.
of the living entities all over the universe. There are innumerable universes and innumerable planets within each universe, and each planet is full of population of different varieties. All of them are born of these 25 patriarchs. Brahma underwent penance for 1000 years of the demigods before he realized by the grace of Krishna how to create. Then from Brahma came Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanan Kumara, then Rudra, and then the 7 sages. And in this way, all the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are born out of the energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma is known as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and Krishna is known as Prapitamaha, the father of the grandfather. That is stated in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 11.39.
Hare Krishna. And now we come to the very important, one of the very important verses of this 10th chapter, an equally important purport. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yoveti tatvataha sa vikalpena yogena yujjate natra samshaya. So what is the purpose of the 10th chapter is given in this verse. Etam vibhutim yogam cha. One who knows this vibhuti, one is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind, engages in so avikalpena yogena, unalloyed devotional service. Yujite natra samshaya. Of this there is no doubt. And a fantastic purport. Mother Sangeeta, your hand is up. You want to read? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, audible, Mother. Go ahead.
The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulences of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage a devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know a detail how God is great. Here are the details. If one knows factually how God is great, then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to him. This factual knowledge can be known from the descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and the chief of them are Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the 4 great Kumars and the other patriarchs. There are many forefathers of the population of the universe, and all of them are born to the Supreme Lord, Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original forefather of all forefathers. There are some of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. When one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in the loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is. For by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to fix a sincere devotional service.
Hare Krishna. And now we come to what we call as the most important shloka of complete Bhagavad Gita. That is called a Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. So we have a couple of minutes. So I'll just give you a quick synopsis of it and we'll take it for reading tomorrow, the four shlokas. So 8, 9, 10, and 11. These are the four shlokas which forms the Chatushloki, which means which describes or which establishes the whole subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. So the verse number 8 says, Aham sarvasya prabhaho mataha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddhabhava samanvitaha. Know me to be the cause and the creator of the whole creation, everything within and without it. And knowing the truth about me, the person engages in my devotional service. So who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The cause and the creator of this whole creation. Text number 9. Then iti matva bhajante ma. So they knowing the truth about me, people engage in my devotional service. How do they engage? Machchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katyantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Machchitta, their minds, madgata prana, their lives. Bodhyanta parasparam, together they come in bodhyanta. Bodhyanta means preaching or discussing. Parasparam means among themselves. So their mind and life absorbed in me, or their mind absorbed in me, their life dedicated to me. Parasparam, when they come together, bodhyanta, they speak about me. Katyantascha mam nityam, always. And like this, tushyanti jaramanticha, they derive their satisfaction and happiness. Text number 10. And how does Krishna reciprocate? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yanamam upayanti te. Those who engage in devotional service like this, Krishna awards them the required intelligence by which they can come back to him, back home, back to God. And text number 11. Tesham ivanukam partham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashami atma bhavasto jnana dipena bhasvata. I, Arjuna, Tesham Ivanu Kampartham, out of my causeless mercy, Aham, I, Ajnanajam Tamaha, I destroy the darkness that arises in their heart. Nashami Atma Bhavasu, after destroying Nashami, this whole darkness that has engulfed us or covered our intelligence, Jnana Dipena Bhasvata, with the torchlight of knowledge, I set the individual free from this material clutches. Like that, Lord Shri Krishna says, and 12th, verse number 12 and 13 of the 10th chapter, another very important verses where Arjuna declares, my dear Lord, I accept you. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashvatam Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam. You are indeed the Supreme Personality Godhead. You are the original personality. And not only that, I say, Asito Vyara Devasa, Asito Ahuston Rishaya Sarve Devashid Naradas Tata. Asito Devalo Vyasa Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. In Narad Muni, Asita Deva Vyasa, now even you are telling me the same truth about yourself. Like this, the chapter goes on, that we should see tomorrow onward. Hare Krishna. Jagaduru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you very much.